Hey guys, it's Rich here. Welcome to another video. So today we have the second episode of How to Hall of Fame, the podcast that I'm doing with Maru, the guild and raid leader of Will. And the only spoiler I'm going to tell you is that we went viral on Reddit. So if you want to know why and what happened, we explain it in the episode. Basically, all the feedback, all the comments we received, more than 500 comments on Reddit. So yeah, hope you like it. Besides that, we do a little bit of recap on the latest updates from the guild, also how we are organizing the splits for when the raid launches on the new expansion, the War Within. So yeah, hope you like it. Please let us know in the comment what other topics you would like us to discuss that maybe you are interested in. So subscribe to the channel. Hope you like it, and see you in the next one. Bye bye bye. So basically, the last episode was the first one of How to Hall of Fame. Amara and I have started this podcast to basically document what we are doing and what we want to do in Whirl, basically the guild that Maru created back in January. And we explained our goals, which is achieving cutting edge rank on the next season 1 of the new expansion, the War Within. So yeah, we explain a little bit the phases that we're planning to go through on launch, why we are doing this, why we are doing the podcast. I don't know if Maru wants to highlight something specifically from the last episode.
It was a new experience. I've never done a podcast or anything like that before. I think it went well though. I think along the way I forgot what we were doing, and we just had a chat, which I think is the best way to do those type of things. And it was just fun talking about, what are we going to do for the next 6 months of our lives when this expansion comes out, and how are we going to go about doing it. I didn't know what to expect in terms of feedback, and to be honest, it was quiet for a while because we posted it to our guild mates and they sort of had a laugh with it and they liked it and we talked about it a little bit. And I thought soon after, I was like, okay, so what would the next episode be on? So we'll come on to that in a minute. But yeah, the overall goal was to start producing this podcast so that we could have something to look back on when we're done with the game, when we're done with this guild, or we're done with the expansion, whenever that is in a number of years. We'd have something nice to look back on and say, oh, wasn't that fun when we were doing that? Be a nice little memory. Because I think, like I said last time, the best times in WoW are when you're with your mates, just fucking around and having a good time. So why not try and record all of that? So that's cool.
Yeah, for sure. So 1 week, we are 1 week away from the new expansion, the War Within. What is your feelings? How you feel for the upcoming content and all the scenes?
It's weird, isn't it? Like you do more thinking about WoW in this phase than actually playing it. Like I'm not actually playing it that much at the moment, other than raid. Maybe I'd log in and do a key or whatever. But you just find yourself thinking a lot about what's it going to be like. How are we going to manage X? How are we going to deal with Y? Do we have all of the people that we need? Are we going to be able to do the bosses? All that kind of stuff. So, and also like just weirdly thinking about my schedule for the future as well. Thinking like, right, how am I going to fit in 3 nights of raiding a week for the next month or 2? When am I going to do a holiday? Is my wife going to want to go somewhere, etc.? How do I fit that in? How do I get out of all the things on Wednesday and Sunday evening? You start thinking about that stuff, about how it's going to impact your life. But I'm really, really excited for the new expansion because this is the first time I've had like a group going into a brand new expansion all ready to go together and all kind of fired up for it as well. I think we've seen the motivation and like the general appetite for play go up in the last couple of weeks as people get near to it, and everyone's been so good in terms of like adapting to some of the changes that we've been making. So more than anything, just excited to get stuck in with the group and see what we can do.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I feel a similar thing. I've been playing WoW for many years now, and I think this is like one of the first time or one of the best times that I'm feeling like super hyped for an expansion, especially because we have a plan. So obviously I like the game, I like what's coming, also the new story, all that stuff is always welcome. But it's true that there is a difference between compared to the latest previous expansion, which is being in a group that we have a common goal, right? So for me, that's the biggest thing, and how we're planning it. Basically, obviously, we are going to face a lot of challenges and a lot of issues probably, and half of them we won't know how to solve them, and we will need to think about them. But yeah, I think I'm really bullish for it, and I'm looking forward for it.
Do you think it's something like we're going to hit too hard to start with? Do you think we're going to play too much in the first couple of weeks and then feel a little bit like, woof, because actually the challenge starts when Mythic kicks in? Or do you think
Um,
playing a lot in the first couple of weeks is going to get us even more like hyped for it?
Yeah, I think that obviously the first couple of weeks, even before the normal and the hero rates open, it's just hype. So it's a new expansion. You have to level up. You have to level up your profession, your main, your alt. So everything is new. I didn't do any kind of leveling experience on the beta. So to be honest, I don't know how it feels leveling up. It's something that I didn't want to do on the beta.
I think it's quick. I think it's quick.
Yeah, but yeah, basically, is everything is new. Even though you don't have Mythic Plus, you don't have Mythic Rating, it's like a lot of different things because you are literally starting from scratch, just like every other expansion launch. So I think people will just put more time and spend more time just because it's something new and basically it's something that we have to do in order to start raiding, right? But I think it will, at least for the first month and a half, until we basically start progressing only mythic grade, most of the people will spend a lot more time. Just like when a new season starts. So WoW is a seasonal game, so I think it's the standard, right?
And before the season starts, what kind of player are you? Do you go off and do all the quest lines for the story, or do you go off and like farm mounts or something? What do you normally do in those first couple of weeks?
Yeah, I try to like do like every quest and complete the campaign on one character, and then that's it. That's like I do it once and I forget. I never repeat it on the alt or whatever. But yeah, basically, usually on the first couple of weeks, since you can't do anything else, I try to also experience the story, the quest line, what I'm doing, why we are on these new songs, etc., etc. But yeah, it's something that, to be honest, I do in the first 2-3 weeks.
Yeah, exactly. You said, WoW's a seasonal game now, and it changed, I think, maybe 10 years ago to kind of move to that model. And it makes a lot of sense because otherwise, if you start an expansion now and it wasn't seasonal, by the time you get to the midway patch, people would think, fuck me, that's so much stuff I have to catch up on. I can't do it. So the reset every 6 months, let's say a season is good. But then I do think it does push it to endgame because I know we talk to people in the guild and it's like, yeah, it's nice that they've done all this new stuff, but I'm going to log in and I'm going to do Mythic Plus and I'm going to do raids. And other than that, I'm in the main city. And it's basically like you're playing in a chat room or a lobby and then you go and do your stuff. So WoW has changed over the years. It's not about like going out into the world exploring as much anymore. Maybe some for mounts and stuff, but really it's an end game mode, I think, why a lot of people play retail.
Yeah. And is that something that you also like the story of the game, the different quest line in the campaign, or you don't care at all?
I do like it. I do. I just also find it like the actual gameplay is boring sometimes for that stuff. I like following the story and I like knowing what's happening, but then you go and do a quest and it's like, go and pick up 8 cones. Okay, cool. Go and save 6 sheep. And you're like, right, okay. It's not particularly engaging. But I think they've made some changes this time, right? So you can do the last boss on a story mode and you can get involved in that kind of stuff. So that might be more interesting. But yeah, I do play it all through and I do like it. I mean, when Dragonflight released, I did everything. I did every little quest line, every little achievement to get all the quests and stuff. But that was before I knew I was going to play it a bit more hardcore and get into like Mythic Plus or raiding or whatever. But I like that that's there. I like that if you have 20 minutes free and you're just a bit like bored or whatever, you can log on and fly around and do a bit of rep or try and get a mount or whatever. But they're bonuses to me now. They're not the main reason I play the game. The main reason I play the game is to be challenged in the end game stuff. That's what I like.
We'll get to that point. Okay, so I'm gonna do a little bit of update on what's been raiding for the last couple of weeks since the last episode. So basically about the guild progress. So we killed Firak finally, and also I wanted to. I think this is important for everyone listening, even though people from the guild and people from outside the guild, why it took the time it's taken to kill Firak since the release of season 4. So basically, just to give a little bit of context that we share already on the first episode, basically we killed Tindral, I will say, 2 weeks or almost 3 weeks before the release of season 4, something like that? Or 2 weeks, a couple of weeks?
Yeah, so in season 3, we started raiding in January, and then the season ended, I think, I want to say like April 23rd off the top of my head. And I think we got Tindral maybe like April 16th or 17th. And I imagine if S is listening right now, she's off to check and she'll confirm in like 2 seconds in the chat because she loves calling me out that I'm wrong. But yeah, something like that. I think we killed Tindral around then. So yeah, about maybe 3 raids or 2 resets before the actual end of the season.
Yeah. So basically, to put people in context, we started raiding at the end of January, beginning of February. So we had like 3 months more or less to start from scratch, build a roster. Obviously, when you build a roster, you have some drop-offs, you have to recruit more, etc., etc., etc. Basically, we had like 3 months from scratch to kill everything on the tier, right? So it was really challenging. So we made it to Tindral. So we killed Tindral right before the new season. And as you all know, on the season 4, basically we had one awaken rate, one of them each week, so it was rotating. And the thing is that most of the people at Whirl, at least I think myself, also yourself, and other half of the raid, I will say, also didn't raid on season 1 and season 2 of Dragonflight. So for us, it was like experiencing for the first time the other tiers, the other raids in a mythic level. So we had to progress that, and basically we had 1 week, basically 2 days per week, to progress on these new bosses, especially the second to last boss and the last boss for both of incarnates and also in Averus. So yeah, it was pretty challenging because we started Bolt, then we had to stop, then we went to Averus, to Sarkareth, then again to Firak, and then again Rasaget, Sarkareth, Firak. So it was really complicated to put the focus on one boss. Yeah, basically that's why it took so many weeks to kill Firak in the Awaken raid and the Awaken version. Basically, because we had to rotate every week on every single raid. So it was pretty challenging just raiding 6 hours per week and without any prior experience with the first 2 raids. So yeah, that's basically the reason.
And we had like a 2-week break because I got married and went on honeymoon and stuff. So yeah, it is what it is. I think also, whilst it made it easier, going from season 4 to like pre-patch style changes your perception of the fights and how you do it. So we had to sort of like rework what we're doing timings wise and stuff. But yeah, it took a while. Took us right up until the end. But you got to be in it to win it, right? So we managed to keep the group together, and so many other guilds sort of like don't get there because they just stop raiding or whatever. So I'm happy we did it and proud we did it. But yeah, we could do a lot better, certainly. But it's also a good lesson because like we kept raiding up until late in season 3, got Tindral killed, did a bit of progress on Thirak before it ended. And then we've raided the whole time in season 4 with a 2-week break. And we got it all done then as well. So I think the lesson is, right, if you can stay in the tier and you can stay consistent with a group that turn up every week, give or take, and you keep your kind of calmness on, you keep level-headed, you have a chance at killing these bosses. And then especially in War Within, in the first season, they're implementing the stacking raid buff from, I think, week 6 or 8, I think. So you can start to do a quest where your character gets, like, I think it's 2.25 times more damage and healing or whatever that builds up over the weeks. Plus then the nerfs that will inevitably come in from what the Race to World First guilds do when it's too hard for the rest of us civilians. I think that's the term people use now. We have a chance at doing cutting edge, and we have a chance at doing it if we keep raiding. And that's my plan, to keep the group raiding throughout the tier, to give us that chance when it is right to kill it, that we can do it.
So moving to the next point, I think we had a little bit of this. Obviously, I think every raid and every roster has some kind of drama and friction eventually. Yeah. Basically, this is the topic, how we do manage the drama and the friction, because obviously you have good days, you have really great days, and you have very bad days when you probably prefer to just not raid and skip that date. But yeah, it is what it is, as you said, and it's something that you have to face as a group, as a team. So yeah, I think if you can explain a little bit how we do it from your perspective as a red leader and guildmaster.
Yeah, sure. I think friction is common and normal. It's an absolutely normal thing, and in fact, I like welcome it. I would think it's really strange if we just had a group of 20 odd people that never said a bad word to each other, never got fiery, because this is a team sport, for lack of a better word. It's not athletic in any sense, but you are trying to coordinate 20 people all in one time, and one person can make a mistake that wastes that pool or whatever. So yeah, I expect there's going to be some friction when people think that other people could be doing better or whatever. The way I try and deal with it, I'm not perfect. I lapse into it a lot. I get angry and disappointed and angry and frustrated and all those words. But I try and just take a breath. And what I've been trying to kind of communicate and what I've been trying to build us towards is like a spirit of just owning it. It's a game. And I don't mean that in the sense of don't take it seriously, because you can take all sorts of things seriously in life. Absolutely take it seriously if you want to. But what I mean is it's a game in the sense where, oh, I made a mistake. That's fine. But this is just a hobby of mine. I'll get better at it. As opposed to what I think a lot of people make the mistake of doing if they're raiding Heroic or the start of Mythic. I could have made a mistake. That person over there fucked up or whatever. And what really helps, especially when you're trying to do this Mythic progression stuff, is people that just want to fix the problems. So take Firak, for example. We had a really, really good day of progress, let's say on the Wednesday. I don't know specifics, but that was like our first day on it, and we pushed it to P3. This is post pre-patch, so it was like we're given that it's going to be fairly simple, but we did it. Learn the fight, crack on, great. I think we all left that raid in a really jovial mood, all really happy. Everyone was really nice to each other, because I think that we all thought in our head that, oh, when we come back next time, whether it's a Sunday or whatever, it will just die. So the expectation all week was almost a given. Maybe a little bit of complacency crept in. And then we came back on the Sunday, and I think we had one or two roster changes that were a bit unexpected or whatever. And it sucked, and it was bad. And all of the good progress that we'd made sort of went out the window. And a lot of the silly mistakes, the things that we were just doing well because we were just focused or we had the intuition to do it, stopped happening. And you could see the mood change. And I've never seen it before in our guild, and it was quite interesting to see that people that don't normally kind of talk or raise their voice or whatever were starting to get a little bit, for lack of a better word, irritated or calling other people out or whatever. And I was a bit surprised by that. And we all sort of lapsed into it. And I think we all sort of started going at each other a little bit more than we should have. But I had a couple of words with you guys in the offices after and stuff. And I think it's just a bit of an eye-opener to be like, right, take a breath, take a step back, we're all in this together. Maybe the problem there was the complacency had crept in, that we thought we were going to kill it. Because if you flipped it around, and if we'd had the bad day first but come back and did a really good day of progress, you'd go, oh, that's just progression, that's normal. But I think it's that feeling of stepping back, which people hate. Even if actually we did our best pull on that night and we still got a little bit close, we didn't quite kill it, but got there. I think people in their heads were like, this should have died. I was entitled to this kill because I put the work in before. And it's that level of entitlement or complacency which I think creeps in. So I think that's one of the ways in which you deal with it, is you just try and encourage people to not be defensive and to own up to things as well. So hopefully people have seen in the last couple of raids we've done, when a mistake does happen, it's a simple like, oh, what happened? Who was it? Can we just figure that out? And then someone will say, take Tyndril, for instance, yesterday, it was like, oh yeah, I dismounted early or something like that. Or I missed the flare when I flew into a fire beam. And it's like, right, okay, let's fix that. Or I didn't make the second flight onto the platform. Oh, why is that? Oh, because I used my second wind too early. I should have used it on the second flight. And then as soon as you know what the problem is, and most people know why they fucked up, but they just don't want to say it because they don't want to look silly. And I'm just trying to encourage, I think, that culture of you won't look silly. Just say what you did wrong, or just figure out what you did wrong and just say, this is what I'm going to do to fix it in the next pool. And if we keep doing that, and if we do that across 20 people, and if we do that across the 200 pools it's going to take to kill a boss, Silken Court or Ansirak or whatever, that will add up quickly in terms of getting us over the line. So that's the approach I'm trying to take at the moment when mood dips a little bit.
Yeah, I would love to highlight something that you mentioned, which is owning it. So the concept of ownership. Obviously, it's a game. You play the game because you are having fun and you want to like have a good time with, in this case, with other group of people that shares a goal with you. But at the end of the day, it's a group, so it has a huge part of team play. So you won't kill these bosses alone. You won't go far alone. You have to play with other people, and those people have to play with you too, right? So there is this concept of ownership. I think to me it has to be part of the culture of a guild that wants to do mythic raiding and wants to get cutting edge, and eventually even they want to get to Hall of Fame or whatever. And it's basically always thinking what you can do to help the team, not just thinking about what others can do, because obviously there are people that they have to step up, that they have to improve, that they have to become better. And that's the standard in pretty much all the raids that you will find. But it's true that if everyone or most of the people have this mindset of, okay, what can I do better? What can I do to help these people? Or what can I do to basically help the team? If everyone thinks or have that mindset, I think that what makes a good roster to a great roster. Because individual performance, if you don't share that knowledge, or you don't share that with the rest of the group, you can be a super nice high skilled player, and you can smash the boss, and you can be the one with the highest DPS. But if you don't have that mindset of team player, you won't get far, right? So yeah, I think that's the to me, at least from my perspective, also I think that's the most important thing.
Yeah, it's about not making people feel like shit, because when you feel like shit playing this game, you will make more mistakes. You will get frustrated. You will get tilted. I've had it many times where we've had a bad pull, and I was angry or whatever, and the next one I'll blink into something fucking stupid, and I'll just die, and I'll be like, right, try and calm down a little bit, try and take a breath, because you don't play well when you're angry at all. The other thing I think that causes friction and drama sometimes in a guild, I was thinking about this the other day, is that for the majority of time you are communicating in text, like in a Discord, and a lot of context is lost that way, and a lot of meaning as well. And then especially in a raid format, then when you take that into a raid format, like, because tensions can be quite high and you only get a short amount of time with each other, like communication can be quite short. And then you add in like the language barrier, right, as well. So people might be a little bit more direct when they're speaking English as a second language, because that's they're trying to be efficient with it. That's how they know how to do it. And that can come across sometimes maybe as short or direct or whatever, or aggressive. And then vice versa, the British people can be a little bit what the word is, a little bit too aggressive or vocal sometimes as well. And then you get this weird mix. So yeah, it's definitely a learning curve trying to make sure that the raid is focused. Because I always think that any minutes we lose because we're arguing about something, or we're not quite making it clear on a topic or whatever, that's just like 4 or 5 pulls we might have lost in that time. So it's really important to try and keep the raid focused on that sense.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, so we get to basically the main talking point for today's episode, which is basically how we are planning. I think we started to talk about this on the first episode, which is what we are doing to basically step up the guild, how to become better, how we are going to achieve our goals for this season 1. We have you started to create like plans of seasonal plans, like we have to get to this point this season. In the season 3 it was if we kill if we kill Tindral, we are in a good place. Then in the season 4 it's like if we can progress all the raids and kill and clear all the 3 raids in Mythic before the expansion, we are in a good place. And also with a constant recruitment in the background. And then we have the third goal, which is we have to get to cutting edge on the first season of the new expansion, right? So obviously part of this is we need a group of people. Everyone on the roster need to take the game a little bit more seriously than maybe the average WoW player. It's not that it is mandatory or we have like super strict rules about people spending time on the game, but it is obviously, if you have this goal, you want to raid, you want to like raid in a more hardcore way, and you want to basically achieve these things and do more challenging things that maybe you didn't do in the past, and you want the ambitious you have the ambitious to do it, you have to obviously do some things and take them like more seriously than probably the rest of the WoW player base, right? So in preparation for the new expansion, I remember, I think it was last week, I came to you like, hey Maro, I thought that we could do, because we were talking with the officers I think a couple of weeks ago, and we were saying, hey, if we can do something to make it easier for people in the guild to understand what we are doing, like each phase of the launch, what we have to do, and basically what they need to do, that will be nice, because it's a easy way to like digest the information. You have like one source of it, they don't need to look for anything else. So yeah, it was something like, hey, maybe this is useful for the entire guild. And then I came to you like, hey, we could do like a infographic, like basically it's a visual where you put like the three faces and that's it. So we prepared the content, we did the infographic, and I want to show it now. Let me open it up, and we share it in Reddit. So before going into the Reddit thing, let's review what contains the infographic. What is the content in the infographic? To me, to be honest, like from the visual perspective, it's not the best infographic. So we had like three phases. I think this is something we explained in the first episode. So we had the first phase on the launch of the expansion, 22 and 26th of August. Then phase 2 is when season 1 starts, which is the 10th of September. And then phase 3 when Mythic Plus and Mythic Raid open, which is on the 18th of September. We have here the three different phases with a checklist / to-do list, and then the team goal, which means the team goal is, okay, where we want to be like at the end of this phase as a team, right, as a roster. And then like to-do list, which basically, and phase 1 is level up your professions, gear up with heroic dungeons, delves, easy to get items, etc., etc. And then like some, I think from my perspective, I mean, in my opinion, is like basic, not rules, but basic guidance in terms of, okay, don't use your catalyst right away on the first week of heroic raid. Don't use your vault item. Wait for the raid. We complete the raid. We clear the raid in normal and heroic, and then let's see if what's the best upgrade for you from the vault, right? So yeah, basically that was the main goal. I decided to post it on Reddit, and basically what happened, and also before that, I want to highlight that, and this is was your idea, is on the first phase, phase 1, we had like a general advice on, okay, we have 2 weeks for all of this, so there is plenty of time to level out your main and your ult. So do not burn yourself. Do not run into FOMO, into like tiny things that probably is not worth your time, because on the next week or the next couple of weeks, we are going to basically replace everything with the heroic raid gear, right? So, I mean, it was like kind of guidance for the entire roster, and I think the internal feedback was great. Like, I think most of the people found it useful. I think it was this morning that it literally went viral and it exploded.
How do you find viral, by the way? Like, how do you know that is viral? Just because it got loads of shit on it?
Yeah, so basically, Reddit, the way it works. So you post something, and then you have like a few hours, and within that time frame, if you get enough comments or engagement, upvotes, etc., then Reddit puts your post in this specific community, like it categorizes it as a hot post or trending post. So basically, it increases the visibility of the post in an exponential way. So it's like, okay, I show this post to a few people in this community, and let's see how it goes. And then from the engagement that it gets from that small sample of people, if the engagement is great, then it starts to increase the visibility, and that way, basically, you can tell that it's viral when you see your post like in the hot category or in the trending category, and basically the stats of the engagement is ridiculous. So as you can see here, just like 500,000 views, 600 comments, and I think it's not updated. So yeah, 626 comments right now, 2,000 shares. I think we can say it went viral. Obviously, it will start to slow down from here. But yeah, it was. I'm not gonna go into the comments, obviously, because there are more than 600 comments. But the point to explain all of this context is that many people found this useful because we have 82% of upvote rate, which means that most of the people like the post. I'm not sure if this is just because they click on the like button and that's it. But yeah, basically this is what Reddit is telling us. But there are a lot of people in the comments that we saw some comments regarding, okay, I don't want a second job, or this is the reason why I stopped playing WoW, blah, 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 which all these opinions are opinions that we obviously respect. I think it opens a debate that probably we could discuss, and we can link it to what we wanted to talk today, which is, are we taking this too seriously? Are we going too far? Are we trying too hard in the way we want to play this game? I want to answer first, and then you can take the stage, Maru. But to me, it's like, this is the way I choose to play WoW. I mean, in my personal opinion, I'm a very competitive person. So in my daily job, when I work in marketing. So when I'm doing a campaign and I'm working in a campaign with my team, I want to make the best campaign, right? And I try to do this on everything in my life. So WoW is part of my life, and I want to do it the best I can for the longest time that I can, right? And in WoW, it means you have a certain level of content difficulty, which is M plus and mythic rating, which is the hardest difficulty you can find in the game. And obviously, I want to push myself, and I want to try the best I can to make it better, to make it faster, and to become better and be better, right, as a player.
Mm-hmm.
And that's basically your personal satisfaction. And I think the satisfaction of entire group of people, if you count with entire roster, is 25, 26 people that's with you sharing that goal. And when you get it and you kill the boss and you clean the content, yeah, for us it's like, it's awesome. I mean, when I remember when we killed Tinral, like 3 months after I started raiding, it's like, okay, we made it. Obviously, yeah, post nerfs right before the new season with all the gear that we could, but it felt super right? And you want to push yourself. So it's something that at some point is like, okay, I want more, and I want more. And it's true that there is a indirect consequence that you have to take the game more seriously if you want to become better and you want to do better things and achieve better challenges and get into cutting edge. So it's not that, just to clarify, if someone from the Reddit post is watching us right now on Twitch or on YouTube, it's not a guide on how you have to play or advice on how anyone has to play this game. It's just the way we will or guild is organizing, because everyone wants to do and wants to play it this way because we have a common goal. So yeah, I think that's the point with this post.
It was a bit helpful fun, and then posting it on Reddit just to say, look, we did this because you put a lot of work into it. I posted it earlier in Discord, right? It's the Ricky Gervais joke, where he says people will just get angry at anything on the internet. It's the joke where he says, he's walking through a town and he sees like a billboard on the town hall or whatever, and on it says free guitar lessons. And he goes, I don't fucking want guitar lessons. And he just gets angry at that. It's like a lot of people were very angry thinking that we were telling them this is how they've got to play the game or whatever. But that's cool. Like, everyone plays it differently. I remember when I fell out hard from playing WoW a couple of years ago when I was doing Classic Wrath. That's ridiculous. It's like a job. There's a difference between a job and a hobby. And I was thinking about this earlier because, you do sort of take some of it to heart. And there's loads of like team hobbies where a little bit of organization is sort of, well, you need it, otherwise it would be a mess. Like if you were doing paintball, or if you were playing D&D, or if you ran a sports club, or if you did a running club, like there's an element of organization that you need to do in that. I think with the post, again, if I'll just flick it back up on my screen here so I can see it. Like, to be honest, we could have just not had phase 1 on there. Phase 1 is basically just play the expansion.
Yeah.
That's it. Yeah, shit, I'm going to level up a main and an alt. Like, we put level up main and an alt on there, and people are like, oh, that's crazy. So, yeah, that's fine, whatever. It probably looks a bit sweaty from the outside. But I think the key point is that, and I've said this many, many times, is that this guild and guilds in general do not work unless everyone is agreed on what the plan is. And I sat there when you messaged me and I thought, do we need to do this, etc. And I thought, yeah, we probably do need to create something like this because there will be so much information out there and so many different infographics about what you should do and what eye level you can get and where it all comes from. What, FOMO, don't miss out on this, do that the first week. And I thought, well, actually, why don't we just have one place on Discord where people can go and say, right, this is the plan. This is what we should be doing to make sure we're all on the same page. And then there can be no upset, there can be no drama, and we can limit the friction. because everyone will turn up to the first raid on whatever it is, the 11th, and they've done what's on there. And if they haven't, we'll deal with that then, and that's fine. Like, everyone's got their own choices. But the only reason we posted this is because we know that the 23, 24, 25 people in our roster, because we polled them all and we talked to them and we did a Google survey and we did a lot of work into it, they all want to be here because they all want to get cutting edge as well, and they're all bought into it. So, yeah, I think whenever you share something that is from like a close-knit community, it's going to go down like a cup of cold sick. But like you say, there were so many good comments on there and so many good upvotes that it's like, I think a lot of people that do mythic raiding or want to get better at the game or want to do this stuff, they'll look at that and they'll go, oh yeah, that's obvious, do that. I don't think there's anything particularly crazy on there. I think probably the most contentious one is splits and split raids, and we'll probably talk about that in a second. Yeah. But I was genuinely shocked at the response that post got. I thought we'd post it and I thought it would get like 4 comments and we'd move on, because it is this time of year. You'll see, if you go on there today and sort by new, there are like 5 or 6 different infographics and none are getting that much attention. I think it's because ours is personal to the guild and it's more like real, I guess, practical, not just telling you where the eye level comes from. And I think that struck a chord with people. It got an emotional response from them. So it was fascinating to see.
I think some people took it like a little bit personal.
Yeah, they did. Yeah, they really did.
Like, if I'm not doing this, I'm not a good player. I mean, and that wasn't the intention at all. So yeah, but yeah, I think that's the feeling that I felt with some comments.
Yeah, it's crazy. I think my final point on that would be that it's about not wasting people's time. That's one of my biggest things when I'm like running a raid, and that's why I try and always do quick pull timers, and I try and get people on time and early. And I say do invites 30 minutes before, and I'm always on people to get on and get ready and let's go and get into the raid. Because I just think about like you're wasting 20 people's time. So this, I think, the post, if it just makes one person go, oh, fuck, I wasn't going to do that, but that's such a good point, I will do that now, that's a win, right? That's a win. And then if it can stop one person pulling an item out of their vault before we go to raid and they're getting that as a duplicate, and I want to give them the tier set, but they've already got it, and it's like, well, that's wasted now and that's dead because no one else can use that token. Again, such a big thing. And all we're trying to do, and everything that we should do for this guild, is the question should be, does this get us towards our goal, which is, can we kill the boss quicker? Can we kill the next boss that we're working on? It's always the next boss. Can we kill the next boss quicker? Can we kill the boss we're currently on? And if the answer is yes to that, you do it. So for sure, I'm happy with the plan for our guild, and I'm a bit surprised at the reaction it's got, is how I'd sum that up.
Yeah, I just want to finish this Reddit posting with, it's true that I've been checking some of the comments, not all of them because it was impossible, but it's true that there are, I mean, most of the comments, most of them, like if you like think about them individually, are positive. Like, hey, this is smart, I didn't think about that. Or there was a comment that I sent you like 1 hour ago or something like that, which is, hey, regarding the catalyst, probably the catalyst will be once one every 2 weeks, not one per week. So I was like, oh, it's right. We assume that we are getting one per week, and probably that's not the case. But we don't know. Also, we don't know if we are going to get the catalyst on the very first week of the season.
Correct.
But yeah, people is like, hey, this is great. There was another comment saying, I'm going to share it with my guild because I think it's a really good plan. Also, saving the vault, like making people wait or asking people to wait to finalize the first raid before collecting any item from the vault. That's a great idea. And yeah, I think most of the people, it's like, this is a good plan if you want to play the game this way, right? And there are other people like, if you don't want to play it like this way, and if you are enjoying the game, like playing more casually or whatever, go ahead. I mean, the point here and the goal here is that you basically play the game and enjoy it, right? So yeah, in my opinion, from my perspective, I knew it could have like some kind of engagement potential because usually it's very visual, even if it's not perfect. But it's visual, it's something that you can like scan it super quick. It's super, like, the information is very, I mean, it's structured in a way that is super easy to read. But yeah, I didn't expect this kind of engagement, to be honest. So
Yeah,
yeah.
it was crazy. And like you say, it's an ideal plan. Maybe we get into the first raid on Wednesday and normal, and it's just too hard to do splits with, and we have to pivot. Or maybe we just can't do heroic on the first week because we're just crap, or it's just not we're not good enough yet, or we haven't got enough gear, or it's too hard, or it's overtuned, or it's bugged. And you'll just make plans for it. Or someone has to go on sick or whatever, or someone's life changes and they get a new job, and all of that things might change the plan. So it's just an ideal right now of what we should be doing when we log in. And I guess as an officer team, all you can do is ask people to just do what you're doing, right? Because if we weren't going to follow that plan, then it'd be bollocks and people shouldn't do it. But we're going to do it. We're going to sit there and play the game. And it will be fun. And people on the Reddit were like, oh, where's the fun happen? And I'm like, I don't know. I have a lot of fun playing WoW, and I'm going to have fun leveling up and doing all the dungeons and stuff. So maybe we just think differently on it. So fun is subjective, I guess. But I'm happy with the plan. We'll just have to see how it goes.
So linking this to one of the topics that we have for today, which is how we are managing to basically get the entire roster. I mean, the rest of the group and the team, like to think more seriously about the game, not just for the launch plan, which is more related to the Reddit post, but also like make people or make sure that people wants to like know more about their classes, how they can become better, how they can fix their issues or the mistakes on the bosses faster. Yeah, if you want to answer that, how are
Yeah.
what are we doing to become better in that side of the
Yeah. I think it starts with finding the right people. I don't think you can sort of force someone to adopt a different mindset with that stuff. Some people just want to log on, stand still, turret, press their buttons, and kill the boss, and that's cool. Like that's fine, and that's fun up to a point, right? I guess the type of players we need, and I think we've got now as well, are the ones that get frustrated with themselves when they make a mistake, and also are always asking the question of like, how do I do this better? There is so much info out there. It's almost like intoxicating sometimes. It's almost like brain damaging how much stuff you can potentially consume, all the guide writers, all the discords, all the different videos and tips you can watch, and all the PDFs that people create. I think the best thing we can do is try and encourage that idea of learning stuff and going off and finding it. For me, I'm a big believer in like your class discords and talking to other players that are maybe 2 or 3 ranks up the ladder than you is good. I think what a lot of people struggle with and they do wrong, in my opinion, is like, let's say you're a DPS player and you're like, okay, I'm doing it okay, but I want to be the best. And they'll just go and look at the number 1 log. And a little bit like this podcast, right? We called it How to Hall of Fame. And I think a lot of people that put their nose out and they're like, well, you can't just go straight to Hall of Fame, you idiot. You've got to do cutting edge and all of that. You've not even got that yet. And the joke was, no, actually, we called it that because we don't have a fucking clue how to get to Hall of Fame. We are absolutely going to try and get cutting edge first, and we'll probably get it doing race to world last, which might be fun as well, getting it very last knockings. But the point I was making is that people will go and look at the top log, and it's like, no, you've got to jump up a few things yet. You've got to like kind of level up there. It takes a while to get up to that level. So always look at someone just above you and go from there. Is how I approach it for the class I play mage anyway, when I'm looking at stuff. But just asking questions and make it specific as well. So like on Farak, it will be like, I'm having a real problem casting as a frost mage when I have to do the Dream Rend stuff. What do you recommend? And people will give you loads of tips on it and stuff. That was a specific one I was interested in. And all other classes as well. We had it on Sarkareth, right? With Anto, our Blood DK. We were getting him with the knockback when we came up after the P1 intermission, or the P2 intermission, sorry. And we were getting all fucking yeeted off the platform. And we were like, what's going on? And I think when we went on the Blood DK Discord and had a little look around, it was like, oh yeah, you can approach it 2 ways. It's this or this. And it was like, okay, perfect. And it's those little bits of knowledge, that little bit of curiosity. You know, whenever you have a problem with the computer or whatever, if you type it into Google, someone's had the problem before and there's an answer on there. And I think we're so blessed with the WoW community and all the different class discords and all the raid leader discords that someone's had your problem before, and there's 3 or 4 ways of picking to choose to go against it or to fight it. And then you pick one and you figure out what works best. So that's the sort of culture and mindset I want the players to have, which is, oh, I've had this problem tonight, that problem tonight, and this problem tonight. I'm going to go and figure out how to deal with it. I'm going to go and watch different POVs of different players doing the fight, and I'm going to figure out how do they manage this overlap at 1 minute 20, or how do they deal with this mechanic at 3 minutes or whatever, and then come back the next raid and just smash it out of the park. That's literally the most I can ask for, and if we could get everyone doing that, I think we would have an excellent chance of doing CE.
Yeah, I agree. I think to basically summarize it, I think is that we don't like ask people to basically be better. Like, it's not something that you can ask. So it's like obviously there are people that probably you have to see, okay, what's happening with this specific individual or whatever, and then see if you can do something to help. But in the big picture, I think it's not something that you have to ask. It's something that it comes down to the group of people that we are playing with. So if you aren't doing it, it's probably because you don't want to be in a group like this. So it's not and it's not a bad thing. So if you don't have time, or if you don't want to put that level of commitment or compromise or whatever, it's okay. So you said something before, which is we don't want and you don't want to waste the time of no one, nor your time, nor the time of the rest of the roster, nor the time of this specific individual, for example. So it's just like, hey, if you don't want to like be here, or you don't think it's something that like supports your individual goal to send away, okay, maybe it's not your place, right? And I think it's something that is natural. So if you try out with a mythic rating guild, or a Hall of Fame raid, or a cutting edge guild that probably is on the top, I don't know, 300 in the world, it's something that they probably come with you to do that. And if you don't, it's just not your place, right? So it's not something, in my opinion, it's something that you have to explicitly ask the people to do it. It's something that it becomes like the standard, right? From a roster like the one we're trying to build.
Yeah, totally agree. And I think it helps that the vast majority of the guild, maybe one or two have, I don't know, like none of us have got CE anytime recently in like last couple of expansions. So we're all doing this together about what it takes to try and get CE and try and kill the final boss before the end of the tier. We're doing that process together. And I think that adds a lot to it, because shared suffering is good, and that shared pain of like going through all the trials and tribulations. I think that's something, if we had a couple, like 3 or 4 people that had done it before, it would feel like they're almost leading us in the way and that they're looking down or whatever. But we don't have that. We have a group of people that are all trying to do this together. So the more we can like lean into each other and say, look, let's help us get there, I think that's really good.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, moving on into basically our plans for one of the, I think, topics that is hot right now for the upcoming Race to World First, also from the Reddit post that we had today, basically on the WAC community, is the risk, the pros and cons of the splits. So basically, if it's worth it to do splits runs on the normal raid, if it's worth it to do it on the heroic raid. So how you can do it? Basically, obviously, the top guilds, Echo, Liquid, Method, they started doing it like a few expansions ago, and they do it in a very professional way, I will say. But yeah, obviously, the rest of the guilds that have like more standard goals like Hall of Fame or Cutting Edge, we also want to find ways to optimize our performance, all with the goal of getting to the mythic progress in the best possible scenario, like the maximum gear we could get, and the maximum item level, everyone with the tier set, etc., etc. So one thing that we are discussing internally, and that we already decide for the normal difficulty, is the splits. We are going to do one split for the normal raid. So there are some basically concerns whether on one hand we think it will be worth it, in the other hand it's like maybe not so much, because we will be replacing the gear fast after we start cleaning and farming the heroic version of the raid. I want to start with my take. I think since our goal, the end goal, as you always say, is we want to hit cutting edge this season 1. So our end goal is, does this support our meta goal, which is okay, we want to have cutting edge, even if it's like the rest to last war last. We want to get there, right? Before the season 2. So does it support this goal? And I will say yes, with a but, and that but is, I think it will help us because if we can kill and clean the raid in the heroic difficulty on the first week with just 2 days of raiding, that will be, I mean, awesome. So doing the normal split, if it that supports that we are killing the heroic boss in the first week, I think it's worth it. If not, I think, well, probably not so much, but yeah, what do you think, Maro?
Yeah, I go back and forth on it quite a lot. I think because the team seem keen and up for having alts this time around, and because it seems maybe easier than most expansions to at least get that alt up and level to start with, I think it makes sense. And then you factor in the fact that Heroic Week is back, so you're not having that dilemma of, oh my god, I could go to Mythic day 1 and I've got all this stuff to do. That pressure's gone. So you basically, on that first release that week on September 11th, you've just got normal raid and heroic. And then add into the fact that we're fortunate that the guild have agreed to do a third day to start the season, which is on Monday for 2 hours. So we've got 8 hours of raiding in that first week. I think if you add all those factors in, that we have some alts readily available and we have 2 weeks to level them up, that we've got the third raid day and there's heroic week, the risk, I think, outweighs the reward outweighs the risk in this case, which is if I take 10 to 12 mains into a normal run and the rest are alts, then I could probably get them all a tier token, because if the rate drops 13, which we think it might do, give or take a few luck chances of RNG rolls, yeah, I can get them all a tier token. And then we could do that twice back to back. There are worries about it. You know, what if we just suck at the raid and the raid's harder than usual and people aren't as used to their alt specs, etc., that they're playing, and we just waste time and then the morale's bad on the first raid? Is that worth it? I don't know. And then because we are doing loot council for the first time, that is just going to add time and feel awkward to start with, no matter how good we do it and how slick we are with it. My plan is to try and pre-allocate where the first tier tokens are going. So if we do split runs and let's say that, you know, there's 12 mains in there, I'll know where the first Zenith token and first Dreadful token and first Vengeful, whatever it's called, token goes. And if we can do that, that might speed it up. But no, it's a dilemma. I think what I'm going to probably do realistically is wait until the Tuesday on the 10th when it releases for North America and try and see how it looks and how it feels. And if people are blasting it and normal's actually undertuned or whatever, then yeah, let's go for it. But if a lot of guilds around our level are struggling, and maybe even higher guilds are struggling, then that's probably an indicator that we should just go main heavy and do it. The goal should be, because you get the seasonal mark from killing heroic boss, try and get the heroic boss week 1 if you can, the heroic final boss AOTC. And again, looking back in history, some were criminally undertuned. I think Sark was a little bit easier. I think Farak might have been a little bit more approachable, but then things like Razageth were quite tough, were quite spicy. Denathrius was quite tough. And so it's like, ooh, could we do it? But maybe we could. Does the gear then help from normal? So it's all these things flying around in my head. At the moment, the plan would be to do the split on the normal on that Wednesday. And then we have Sunday for 3 hours and Monday for 2 hours to progress heroic. So that's 5 hours to do the heroic raid as a group of mains with better items because we did normal splits. That's the current logic, but I'm open for change and debate based off as we get closer to it as well. What I want is to finish that first Wednesday raid with everyone feeling good and positive. And if we come away and people feel like shit, then that's probably a mistake. So I'm just trying to figure out what the best way to achieve that is.
100%. I agree with that. I think we need to wait, see how it goes. I think probably we're going to go with the split. I mean, I don't think normal mode will be harder than expected. Obviously, we don't see, and we didn't test the final tuning of the raid because they did a bunch of changes on the raid that we didn't have the chance to test on beta. So obviously, probably waiting for NA and how it feels is a good idea. But yeah, I think we are going to do the splits based on the difficulty. But yeah, let's see.
Yeah.
Obviously, until it's not released, we won't know. Okay, so Maru, I mean the people watching us and also in the chat, a few new changes that we are making on the launch of the War Within as a raid. So I think we have a few changes. What you already mentioned one. We are introducing loot council for the first time. We are pre-allocating some loot already to basically improve the performance from a team perspective, not just one individual performance or just because people is rolling need. Basically, we weren't controlling how we were distributing the loot and how it was impacting the performance of the raid. So yeah, basically we are introducing loot council with the main goal of improving our the performance of the team to support the goal of getting into mythic progress as fast as possible, the better we can. And also we obviously there are some people in the another thing is the splits. Obviously it's something that we will be doing for the very first time. We never do that because basically when we started rating it was February, so we were already like 3 months into the season 3. So this is something new also for us. Another thing is that there are people in the roster that is rerolling to other classes because they don't want to play the current class anymore. Also new people that we are recruiting. So yeah, how would you explain how we are managing all these changes, the people playing with their alts, because obviously usually you don't play your alt the same way you play your main. So yeah, how would you explain we are managing all of this?
Yeah, it's a brave new world. There are some worries and there are some concerns because it's been good, I think, so far since we started in January. And I think one of the reasons it's been good is because there's been very, very minimal mention, not even drama, but just mention of loot. Start of season 4, there's a little bit of like back and forth about items and stuff, but in general, it's never been a thing for us talking about loot because you had bullions, because you had M+. In the War Within, that all sort of changes a little bit. It's harder to get good quality loot from M+, and so raid becomes really, really important. And there's no bullion systems now as well, so you can't just go and pick up the best in slot trinkets or weapons. So yeah, it's been a consideration. I think the plan that we've got is very probably similar to other guilds, but we're going to use WoW Audit, which I like, having got my head around it now and understood it. We're going to use the sim upload, which expires after 3 or 4 days, so that we can do one before each raid, so that by the time that we get to deal with the loot in the raid, we can see who the biggest statistical upgrade is for. But that's not the only factor we'll go on. I think we'll also enable the personal wish list element on WoW Audit, where let's say if there's 3 trinkets that are really good for your spec, but they're all within a percentage or 2% of each other, but for the build that you're going or the way you want to play, you'd prefer a passive over an on use or something like that, you can put in the note saying, I want this one, I don't want that one, etc. Please consider that or whatever. So that would be cool. Tier sets are a problem to start with, but after everyone has 4 set, it's just about upgrading the item track on it, not particularly a big deal. Where it's going to be huge is trinkets. Trinkets make or break your ability to push an enrage, kill a boss, do a DPS chat, make a healing check or whatever. Making sure they go to the right homes early on for the normal and heroic versions is so important to be able to then get the mythic versions of them as well. So that's a consideration. In terms of how we then manage that loot council, we've got the officers on it. I think we're going to have to accept that it's going to eat into raid time to start with, probably 15, 20 minutes to start with, maybe even more whilst we get our head around it and we do the voting, we do the discussion on it. It won't be slick. I've run a bunch of guilds where we do loot council and it can become very back and forth and very wasting time where you're just talking about random stuff. So we need to figure that out and we need to go on that journey together. But I am hopeful that because there's less loot to allocate, because once we get into it, we're really just going to be looking at trinkets, special effects, weapons, etc. It should be quicker to do, and because there's not too much loot dependency, you should be able to know ahead of time, oh, this person's getting the first one, this person's getting the second, this person's getting the third, so we'll just be able to throw it out quickly. But yeah, it's a big step change. I think it will bring out a different side of people. Maybe some people have like a weird thing with loot, and maybe we'll see that. Maybe we will see people getting upset over it, and that's something I'm going to have to deal with, and the officers are going to have to deal with when people come to you after raid, and it will happen, and they say, yo, why didn't I get this when I think I should have got this? And here's my reasoning. And you have to hear people, you have to listen to them, but ultimately, like, the decision's been made, the loop's with the other person, and there's not much you can say to make the other person not feel dicked over. And what you don't want to do as well is then sort of say, oh, I'll give you the next good thing, because then that's like encouraging the behavior of moaning and kicking off, right? So all of that stuff we've got to come, which I'm looking forward to and also dreading in equal part, but I'm sure we'll be able to deal with it. And then that factors into the next point, which was, how do you manage people that have grown tired of a class, tired of a spec, want to change versus what we need? I think I'm fortunate so far that I haven't had to say no too many times to people. Maybe once or twice where they want to play, something we've already got 3 of, or something that will take us to 10 ranged in the comp or whatever. But in general, it's been pretty good. It's been eye-opening that the same classes and specs keep coming up for ones that people just don't want to play. And I don't know if that's a perception thing. I don't know if that's a tuning thing. I don't know if that's a complexity thing. But it is hard to kind of find a few certain classes that want to play the role and can do it well as well. One of the things, I'm not making mandatory by any means, but I would encourage massively, and it's something I've been on a little bit of a journey with it myself, because anyone that knows me, when I started playing retail again, I was a fire mage, and that was all I fucking did. I'm not doing any other fucking spec. I don't want to press Frostbolt. I don't want to do the purple one. I just want to do fire. And the more I played, I was like, oh, maybe I should look at this. Maybe I should understand that. And now I've got to the point where I can play all 3. I play Frost now and Raids or whatever. And that's been a good experience to learn different specs and stuff. And you do it too, right? You can switch between disc and holy, no problem. And that's cool as well. So I would encourage anyone that's got a class with multiple specs that mirror the same role to just learn it. Because then if we do need to flip and the meta does change, and I think one of the big changes this season is that because we've got Heroic Week, they put that in because they will do tuning. They will look at Heroic Week and they will see stuff that's broken. They will see stuff that's not working, and they will make massive class tuning changes, I think, before going into Mythic, so that everyone's as close to an even keel as possible. So you might have a situation where you've leveled as a certain spec and you're ready to go, and they might then just rip the rug out from under it and make the other one better. And then you have to pivot like that, because we don't want to gimp the raid by playing one that's like 30-40% less, right? So all of that stuff comes into play as well. And I'm trying to encourage everyone to have an open mind with, if you needed to change, if we needed a different spec, would you be open to it and would you want to do it? There are some people that just don't want to do that, but you have the conversation up front. Like I was talking to one of them the other day, and it was like, if possible, it was one of the persons that's been flexed for us this year. And it was like, if possible, in the War Within, if I could not be this flex role when it's needed, that would be great, because I don't feel comfortable doing it. And it was like, okay, well, thanks for telling me up front. Yes, I can try and find another one that can do that flex role. So that was cool. Like, that's the kind of communication I need from people that want to come and do that stuff. So all of that stuff factors into it, and it is just a hot moving mess of making sure I've got the right colors and the right lineup and the right amount of tanks, the right amount of healers, and the right amount of DPS, ranged and melee, all flipped around, and everyone seems to be happy at the same time. And I guarantee you there will be people that finish that first raid on Wednesday that message me and say, I fucking hate my spec now, can I change? And that would be fun to deal with as well. There will be, and that's part of it, right? And because we're playing with friends now, because they are friends, because we've been playing together for a long time now, since January, and we've been talking to each other all the time. It's like, okay, you want to be respectful of your friend, you want to make sure it fits, but what you don't want to do is gimp the raid group and make it harder. So yeah, all of those things play into it. I'll try and be as accommodating as I can. I think everyone is largely happy. I know a couple will probably say that they feel a little bit shafted right now, but we're going to see where we go, and we'll see. We'll know after the first raid, I guess. Yeah. And class tuning will change dramatically. I'm hoping fire makes a comeback, because I don't really want to play.
I'm very bullish about Holy Oracle, but I'm feeling that they will nerf it a lot before the Mythic raid opens. So yeah, we'll see how it goes.
Yeah. It's exciting. It's coming soon. So I guess on the next one of these, we will be knee deep into leveling. Probably already leveled. Probably doing heroic dungeons, and we can just talk about our first impressions of the expansion and how it's all looking. And I'm sure there'll be a bunch of class changes from then as well. So we can talk all about that.
Yeah.
So yeah.
So to wrap up, probably next week, I'm sure you know and you remember that we said that we are going to do one episode every 2 weeks. But obviously, next week is the release, early access on Thursday, and Europe it will be the night from Thursday to Friday. So Probably next week we'll be doing another episode, like a special one, like the one we didn't launch. I'm not sure yet when, like it's the specific day. We need to talk about that. But yeah, probably we can do it like, I don't know, if you can in the weekend, after we started to level up, and also do some normal dungeons. But yeah, let's discuss when we can do it. But yeah, for sure we're going to do like a special episode, and our first touch of the expansion, how things are going. And yeah, let's see if obviously we have any more changes before the actual release. That would be great.
We might have a new logo by then. We've got the ideas of working on a new logo for the guild, which is cool.
Oh,
And the logo you did for the podcast is really nice as well. So we're all those sorts of things. And I'll probably be a bit further forward with putting together what the split teams look like, and we might get clarification as well on some of the other bits and bobs like Catalyst and stuff like that we're looking for. So it's all going to happen in this next week. So we will be back next week to talk about the war within. Wowie, as we are calling it in the guild.